This is the story of my grandmother, Paula Manco. She has a lot of twists and turns in her life, but that's what makes it very interesting. The story of Paula Manco. Born as Paula Fowler, she was the oldest of four children to Jackie and Henry Fowler. Henry's family lived in Louisville, and he was the only son to Henry Fowler Sr., known as Bud, and his mother, Margaret. He lost his mother at a very young age, and he was sent to a boarding school in Leeto, Kentucky. Paul's mother, Jackie, grew up as the eldest of two children to Bill and Ruth Camp. When Bill couldn't find any work in Georgia, he moved to Chicago, where he sent money back to his family. When Jackie was around 12, they moved back to Louisville, where she attended Most Blessed Sacrament School and met my great-grandfather. They remained together since they were kids, attending Presentation High School and St. X High School, where the Catholic faith became a cornerstone in my family. After Jackie and Bud married, they welcomed four children, and Paula was born in 1957. They lived in a small apartment until 1959, when her uncle and grandfather designed their family home in Shively, Kentucky. Paula recalls her childhood there filled with play and adventure. Often cared for her three younger siblings, Kathy, born in 1959, Keith in 1960, and Teresa in 1961. She said she decided their daily activities, whether playing kick the can or biking to the library. She told me I was in charge and we did whatever I decided we wanted to do. Initially attending Catholic school, Paula later switched to Schaffner Elementary, and then she went to Butler High School. She loved her time at Butler, participating in the choir and enjoying football games. Paula was very proud to make the high school choir as an 8th grader, a rare accomplishment. She said, "I made the choir as an 8th grader, which was unusual." During the 1970s, she experienced the overcrowding of Louisville schools, recalling classes in portable trailers and watching educational programs on TV due to the teacher shortages. At 16, she met my grandfather, David Manco, who was home on leave from the Marines. They lived in the same street coincidentally, but didn't know each other until a mutual friend introduced them. When she was 17, David proposed, and they got married after her high school graduation. Their wedding was memorable, with all the girls wearing rainbow colors and David in his marine dress blues. After getting married, they moved to Beaufort, South Carolina, near Camp Lejeune, and Paula loved her life as a military wife. Even during the challenging separations when David was ordered to Okinawa, Paula moved back with his mother, relying on her faith during the time. They later relocated to San Diego, but soon returned to North Carolina, where Paula gave birth to my mother, Dawn Marie. With the Vietnam War ending, they made the difficult decision to leave the military and return back to Louisville, where David found a job at DuPont. My grandmother did not work regularly because my grandfather worked swing shift, which meant he would sometimes work during the day and sometimes at night. It was difficult for them to find a suitable daycare, so my grandmother stayed home to take care of my mom and my uncle, who was 2.5 years younger than my mom. Life was somewhat difficult as a young couple with two children in the 80s. One of my grandmother's biggest goals was to ensure that my mom and her brother attended Catholic school, which required a significant financial sacrifice. To help make ends meet, my grandmother did alterations on bridal formal wear. My mother remembers her sewing at all hours of the night. It wasn't a highly paying job, but it allowed her to stay home and make some extra money. When my mother and her uncle were in high school, my grandfather had a massive heart attack. He was lucky to survive. Fortunately, he had told my grandmother that he wasn't feeling well, and she made him go to the hospital, where he ended up having the heart attack. She knew she could become a widow at such a young age. She was only 37 when he had it. Realizing that she could become a single mother of two children, she made sure they both went to college and graduated. To support her children through college, she worked 3 jobs: at a title agency for a wedding character, and she continued sewing. She saved money in case David, my grandfather, could not work anymore. Once both her children attended college, she took the time to attend college herself. She would tell you that she prayed a lot about this decision. She took tests that suggested that she would become a great nurse. She decided to pursue nursing, not something that she ever had planned to do. However, she realized it would be a good financial decision, providing a stable way to support her family. She attended Jefferson Community College, where she has earned her associate degree in nursing. It was the only program that awarded an associate degree, when still qualifying her as a registered nurse. College was difficult for her as she was balancing work and school. She often reflects on how she felt God's presence during the hardest time in nursing school. It was during this period that she found out that she was become a grandmother, and my mother was expecting my older sister. In order to help my mom, my grandmother quit working and focused solely on school. My parents supported her financially in exchange to take care of my sister and help around. Around the same time, we also learned that my grandfather's health was declining, and he eventually had to retire early due to his medical conditions. My grandmother believes that God guided her into nursing not only so she can support her family financially, but also to earn the knowledge and skills to help my grandfather. Becoming a grandmother has been one of the best parts of my grandmother's life. She never wanted to pursue my mom or uncle into having children because she knew how hard it would be on them. When she found out that she was going to become a grandmother, she felt nothing but joy. She was there for both the births of my sister, Amelia Carroll, and me, Parker Wyatt. My grandmother also has 2 other children from my uncle. However, when my sister and I were born, it was a very scary time for her. My mother was very sick during both her pregnancies. While my sister's birth was difficult, it wasn't as frightening as when she had me. My grandmother often talks about my birth and why it was such a scary thing for her because my mother was so sick. I now realize that my grandmother was struggling with feeling immense joy at the birth of a new baby, but also great fear of potentially losing her daughter. She prayed for the health of both my mother and me, and we both are very well and healthy today. Becoming Catholic has shaped my grandmother into who she is today. She loves going to church as a child and recalls the Mass being 3 hours long and said in Latin. If her parents could attend, she would take her siblings to church, and she went on her own with my grandfather when my grandfather was deployed. She said I would go to church even when my family would not. I walked to church sometimes. When I had no vehicle. I took my bike to church when I was 14, and my parents couldn't. And if my parents couldn't go, and my dad was at work, I would still go. That is what she said. She made sure both my mother and uncle attended Catholic schools. This tradition continues today, as I am a Catholic student in a Catholic high school myself, just like my grandparents were. I go to Sales High School. I asked her if she would do anything differently about her life, any do-overs, and she actually mentioned quite a few things. However, she doesn't dwell on that because she knows she can't change the past. She's very happy with her life now, she's very happy with how her life has turned out. My grandmother maintains a positive outlook on life, and even though my grandfather has passed 7 years ago, and I know she misses him and the life they shared, but in those memories, she turns to God for comfort. She told me, I have loved the Catholic faith from the time I can remember, and I love going to church. Thank you.